Put 'em up. It's Carl Dukes back with the Dukes Dump. And what am I dumping on today? Well, it's football time. That's right. The NFL season rolls around on Sunday, and the Falcons are back at it for another season. But what are we going to get? What are we going to get with this offensive line? The Falcons are solid at left tackle with Jake Matthews and at right guard with Chris Lindstrom. Matt Hennessy is set to open up the season at center. But beyond that, there still are some question marks, like Jalen Mayfield, who appears set to start at left guard. And at right tackle, it's going to be Caleb McGarry, who continues to improve, but I need to see more improvement. This is going to be the question mark as the season gets underway. How well does this line protect Matt Ryan, who's been sacked over 40 times each of the 3 last seasons? Or are we going to be able to run the football? Protect and run the ball. Run the ball and protect. It's going to be up to Matthews and Lindstrom and Hennessy and Mayfield and McGarry. At the end of the season, are we talking about how good this line played and what a surprise it was and how good we were with the running game with Mike Davis toting the rock and protecting Matt Ryan? Or are we going to be talking about how bad this line was and all of a sudden we don't have the right guys? And guess what? We've got to continue to retool this offensive line. The Falcons have invested in first-round picks the last few years, including Chris Lindstrom and McGarry. They went with third-round pick Jalen Mayfield this year out of Michigan. There's been a commitment to trying to improve the offensive line. But just because you try doesn't mean that you always get the right players. Sometimes you draft correctly, but the players don't pan out the way you expected. I don't put that on former general manager Thomas Dimitroff, who made mistakes, no doubt. But this is a team that has now been inherited by Terry Fontenot and head coach Arthur Smith. And what they inherited, well, it wasn't that good. And so now they're trying to put the pieces together. But the biggest question for me is, can better coaching this season by a former offensive lineman in Arthur Smith help the Falcons' offensive line be a better unit? It's the number one question mark that I have heading into the season. I think they're going to be able to run the football. I think Mike Davis could get 3 yards without an offensive line. But if they give him just a little bit of room, I think you're talking about 4 yards a pop. I think Calvin Ridley's going to have a spectacular season and is considered to be a sleeper. I don't know how he's a sleeper. You must have been sleeping. Calvin Ridley's been tearing up the league the last few years, even when Julio Jones was on the field and when he was off. And what about Kyle Pitts? We've only seen him on the field for basically one play in the preseason. He made a catch. He had a 27-yard gain, and they got him out of the game. But don't you feel like that's going to become the norm? The catch and then the run, the yak, yards after catch with Kyle Pitts? I think it is. I think the offense is going to be able to score. As a matter of fact, I think they'll be better at scoring this year than they have been the last 3 years. But it all comes back to protection and running the football. And that comes back to Jake Matthews, Chris Lindstrom, Matt Hennessy, Caleb McGarry, and Jalen Mayfield. If they can do the job, then this offense is going to do everything that I'm talking about. Falcons are nearly at full strength, meaning all of their players are healthy. No one's dealing with COVID at this particular moment. All things point to go for Sunday against the Eagles. But a lot of things factor into the run game. And when you start talking about how to change the face and the culture of a franchise, if you want to be tough, you run the football. If you want to be tough, you're great up front on the line of scrimmage, on both sides of the ball. Defensively, I don't know if we'll be that. I know one guy who will be, and that's Grady Jarrett. Outside of that, Dante Fowler, question mark. Marlon Davidson, question mark. I'm not sure what to think of all of those guys up front on the D. But I know Arthur Smith is trying to change the toughness level of this Falcon football team by trying to run the ball. It's easy when you have Derrick Henry in the backfield and you've got one of the best offensive lines in the league, which he had in Tennessee. He didn't inherit that here with the Atlanta Falcons. More to come later this week as we'll break down this matchup more intently. Eagles, Falcons, Sunday, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 1 o'clock kickoff. Make sure you check it out. Coming back at you in a couple of days here on the Dukes Dump. Put 'em up!